What if the most explosive moment of a Grand Prix didn't happen on the track, but in the pit lane? That's exactly what unfolded when Max Verstappen and Lando Norris exited side by side in Japan, turning a place meant for clean strategy into a full-throttle showdown. It was tight, it was risky, and it exposed more than just racing instincts. Both drivers had everything to lose, but neither lifted. In seconds, the gap between a clean release and potential disaster vanished, and what came after was just as revealing. From sarcastic radio jabs to body language in the cool-down room, the fallout was immediate and personal. It started innocently enough. Verstappen and Norris both made scheduled stops on the same lap. The plan from each team seemed standard: slap on fresh tyres, get out clean, and continue their individual battles for the podium. But as they rolled toward the narrow exit, neither driver held back. Verstappen, determined to hold position, refused to concede an inch. Norris, equally intent on keeping pace, matched Verstappen's aggression wheel to wheel. In seconds, the calm planning of pit strategy transformed into a high-risk dance. Norris ended up veering dangerously onto the grass, but miraculously managed to avoid contact. Stewards reviewed the footage and decided not to penalise anyone, a ruling that sparked debate among fans. Were the officials letting these two race free of extra constraints, or did they fail to recognise the inherent risk? With that call made, attention pivoted to the driver's radio chatter and the banter that followed. That's where things got personal. Having claimed multiple titles, Verstappen has built a legacy on assertive, no-nonsense racing. Whether it's a tight corner or a pit lane as cramped as a city alley, he expects to extract every bit of advantage. To him, giving Norris extra space would have been counter to his competitive DNA. Once back on track, Verstappen seemingly brushed off the confrontation. In his mind, this was just another day at the office. He held his line, and if Norris wanted to challenge it, so be it. Yet it wasn't just about the moment of squeezing Norris aside. Shortly after, Verstappen let slip a joking remark about Norris's brush with the grass, likening it to a pricey lawn makeover. While it got laughs from some, it highlighted a deeper message. Verstappen isn't simply out to win. He also wants to show that he can dictate the tone and pace, even in a tight situation. That dose of humour was more than a punchline. It was a statement that he's comfortable enough to poke fun at his rival's expense. Lando Norris, on the other hand, is no stranger to high-pressure scenarios, but in seasons past, he might have conceded to a more experienced rival. This year, he's racing with a sharpened edge, committed to proving that he can handle pressure from anyone. When forced onto the grass, he could have easily lost traction or control, turning the event into a disastrous collision. Instead, he showed masterful reflexes and then responded with playful sarcasm, joking about track limits and hinting that he wasn't exactly thrilled about being pushed aside. Rather than fuming or crumbling under tension, Norris embraced the showdown. He kept his composure, continued to set competitive lap times, and refused to let the near miss define his race. That resolve hints at a driver ready to challenge not just for podiums, but for the top of the order. He seems fully aware that if you let Verstappen sense even the slightest intimidation, you've already lost half the battle. In this sense, the confrontation served as Norris's public declaration: he's no one's pushover. Of course, this wasn't just about two individuals throwing caution to the wind. Both Red Bull and McLaren have strategic goals they can't afford to compromise. For Red Bull, it's about preserving a winning streak and maintaining a points gap in the Constructors' Championship. A risky pit lane clash leading to a DNF would undermine those goals. For McLaren, every manoeuvre is a chance to prove they can rise beyond the midfield. Letting Norris engage in borderline contact is a gamble that could pay off if he finishes on the podium, but it also courts mechanical damage or penalties. In the post-race briefings, each team undoubtedly dissected the footage from every angle, weighing whether the aggression was worth the risk. Red Bull might relish Verstappen's dominance, but they also know consistency is paramount in a title fight. McLaren, eager to capitalise on a renaissance of performance, may encourage Norris's boldness as a way to pressure other front-runners. After all, if they show that they can mix it up with the reigning champion, that's a moral victory in itself. Away from the raw mechanics and split-second decisions lies the psychological battlefield. Verstappen's quick comment about lawn mowing was more than just a zinger. It was a test of Norris's mental resilience. Early in his career, Norris might have been rattled by the casual dig. This time, he shot back just as confidently. From a competitor's viewpoint, that's a red flag. signalling that mental intimidation won't be enough to unsettle him. Moreover, the entire grid, along with fans worldwide, caught wind of their quick exchange in the cool-down room. If there's one thing Formula One drivers notice, it's whether rivals show cracks when pressed. By handling the verbal sparring as smoothly as he handled his near-grass excursion, Norris demonstrated he's a different racer now. In a sport where fractional gains often decide races, a strong mental game can be the difference between tasting champagne or leaving empty-handed. If you were expecting this episode to be a one-off, think again. Both drivers are in the midst of campaigns with high stakes. Verstappen looking to extend his reign, Norris determined to establish himself among the elite. This pit lane standoff might become the defining point that fuels their rivalry across the remaining rounds. With each upcoming circuit, the tension could rise, especially if the pair find themselves locking horns again in a critical moment, like qualifying or the first lap of a race. What's intriguing is how other teams might exploit this rivalry. A cunning strategist could orchestrate pit stops to coincide with Verstappen and Norris, hoping their aggression leads to mistakes. Alternatively, teams might push their drivers to avoid side-by-side entries just to prevent a catastrophic collision. In both cases, the mere possibility of another run-in affects more than just Red Bull and McLaren. It touches every squad on the grid, shaping how they approach strategy for the rest of the season. Each new Grand Prix presents fresh variables, different track layouts, pit lane configurations, and unique challenges that can either diffuse tension or fuel it further. A wider pit lane might make repeat incidents less likely, while a tighter one could magnify rivalries. Weather conditions, tyre strategies, and safety car timings all play into whether we'll witness another too close for comfort moment. Both Red Bull and McLaren will be meticulously planning for every eventuality, from undercuts to clever pit release tactics. Verstappen and Norris know one small miscalculation could end in disaster, but they're also aware that backing down might cost them a crucial edge. As each driver zeroes in on the championship's deeper stakes, there's little incentive to yield. And with both teams hungry for victories, fans and analysts alike are bracing for the kind of high-pressure showdowns that define seasons and legacies. One tight lane, two determined drivers, and a world of speculation swirling in the aftermath. Sometimes it only takes a single moment to reshape an entire championship narrative. By refusing to yield, both Verstappen and Norris broadcast a clear message. Neither has any intention of stepping aside. On a stage defined by technology and timing, it's easy to forget that raw human competitiveness still drives the spectacle we see on Sundays. How will this rivalry unfold as the races tick by? It could reach a fever pitch in a wheel-to-wheel final lap battle, or it might simmer beneath the surface, exploding in a key race where neither can afford to lose points. No one can say for sure. But one thing is certain, the images of Norris edging onto the grass while Verstappen held firm will stay, etched in the season's story. Reminding everyone that Formula One's most memorable moments often happen when two champions in the making refuse to back down, even in a place typically considered off-limits for fireworks. It's the type of drama that shows why, time and again, we can't turn away from motorsport's most unpredictable theatre.